Bro.
And this will be our new one. I jumped 47 feet. This may have seemed like it was a dumb idea, but you only know it by time. What is up, guys? Happy Monday. We're diving back into the Safari GTR project. It's been kind of on the back burner because I'm waiting for a rear LSD. The biggest complaint I have of the car right now, rear diff is stock. It opens up and we gotta fix that. But in the meantime, I just got a very special package from BC Racing, and that is even longer travel shocks. That's gonna add an extra 2 inches of travel in the front and about an extra 1.5 inches in the rear. But before we throw the long travel on, I want to illustrate to you guys what we got right now. So we're gonna jump it. We're gonna jump the car for the first time. We got the leftover drift ramp. I'm gonna put a GoPro in the wheel well. We're gonna see how the car acts from the outside. I predict we're gonna use all of the bump stop that we have. Then we'll throw it in the air and show how the longer travel is going to change how the car acts, put it on, jump it again, maybe even make the jump bigger, and we'll be able to learn some cool stuff together. The funny thing is, this ramp is almost exactly like the ramp we were contemplating jumping in Colorado, except we're next to our shop, so if I break something, it's not like we're stuck in the middle of the Colorado mountain. I'm pretty excited. I've been wanting to do this for a while. This is like the most lame jump in the world, but this will be a good way. Instead of just throwing parts at the car, we can see what it did before and what it's gonna do after.
We're gonna drive off the ramp very slowly to make sure we can make it. What?
Well, I'm curious if it has enough ground clearance to like drive off the ledge this high.
It does. We went up curves already.
Oh.
Come on.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, your mud flap, man. More mud flap. Keep going.
Oh, yeah, you're good.
Yep. Right to the rear.
Oh, what
hit the mud flap unless you go fast.
I feel like the exhaust, maybe.
I'll go slow.
It's like walk it down the curve.
Go real slow. I can always put it in reverse.
You're good? It's gonna hit the mud flap.
That's okay.
Oh, yeah.
The exhaust is like, oh, film it, Mike, film it.
Hard, it was like,
Yeah.
we'll buckle up for this one. Colette hit it in her Veloster, didn't she?
Yeah.
All right, so like this is not even like anything serious, but it kind of is.
No problem at all.
Damn, dude, we went like at the line is where we landed.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
I felt like I didn't even hit the bump stops.
That was impressive as hell.
It felt really good.
You landed it like this line.
Dude.
From the ramp.
I mean, I'll go faster.
I mean, I guess. It made a clunk when you landed. You hear it?
No, that's probably the rear though.
Yeah.
The rear, I definitely feel, the rear I know has way less travel than the front.
Yeah.
I felt like I could probably give a couple cranks on the dampening. Did it look like bouncy after it landed? A little bit?
I don't know, we have to watch the clip.
Maybe.
I was too ecstatic.
Yeah, let's give some cranks. Add a little more compression to her.
Right? Locked them up.
That was nuts.
I feel the bump stop in the rear, but I don't even think I'm hitting it in the front. Which is surprising because the RB is like a boat anchor. So
it nosedived a little bit.
Yeah, that just has to do with like the spring rates and the length of the ramp and stuff. But I mean, already it's like drives really good. Like for one, it's gonna be even better. Oh, I definitely want to do 2 ramps. I don't know if I want to do 2 ramps with this setup though, because I'm definitely in the bump stops in the rear. Can I see the playback?
Yeah.
It's gonna pendulum more.
See ya, Adam.
That was the best one.
Right?
That was sick. He flew.
I'm not gonna lie, that went way better than I expected. It's only gonna get better. I think we're just barely hitting the front bump stop, but the rear I could definitely feel. You guys saw in slow-mo kind of what's going on, so now we're gonna throw this thing in the air, show you guys the travel that we have to compression and full droop, and then change out the shocks for even longer ones, and then see what it does, and hopefully we can make the jump twice as big.
60. Slap the right of a crest, extra.
Don't mind me. I'm just practicing to see what jumps are supposed to feel like when you're in a car that's made for it. Lucky for me, I've got a simulator that's really good practice. If you aren't familiar with this simulator, it's our Podium 1 Racing Ultimate Simulator, valued at over $50,000. So we're giving away for every $5 you spend because you enter for a chance to win. Guess what? I've got some new stuff to show you too.
Big crested. 6 right of a crested.
We got some new stuff added to the site. They took a little while to get here, but if you wanted to get your hands on a shirt from our Australia stop of our LZ World Tour, we got a small amount left remaining from the event. Never gonna be made again. Limited sizes available. Same thing with the Mandello shirts, fresh from Ireland, leftovers from the event in limited sizes. Both of these are on the site. In addition to, for the very first time ever, we are now selling stickers separately on the website. So we've got many different options with some of your favorite cars and builds from the channel, available separate, or you can bundle and save in some of our curated packs. Check it out. There's literally infinite amounts of stickers and cool designs. Something you guys have been asking for. For just $5, you can enter for a chance to win this thing. You can be practicing in the comfort of your own home for free.
70. 3 right. Tightens of a crest. 100. Turn 3 right. Keep in of a crest. Opens. 80. 6 right of a crest. Jump. 50.
Guys, this is what we're working with. We have our shock now here with no spring on it. You can see right here, here's our bump stop, and here's essentially our stroke. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna put this with a wheel on it, measure the fender gap to put it where it sits at ride height, and then we're gonna see how much droop, how much compression we have with the old shocks. Took a measurement of the ride height when it was on the ground. It was about 7.5 inches from the edge of the rim to the fender. So this is effectively our static position of the wheel. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna measure the difference to figure out how much total droop we have both on the shock and on the wheel, and then same thing with compression so we can compare it to the new shocks. All right, we'll measure our total droop. So from 7.5, we go down to almost 10. So I'll say 2.5 inches of droop on the wheel.
Yeah.
So on the wheel, 2.5 inch. Interestingly enough, the amount that it is on the shock is about the same as the wheel. I was expecting there to be some more like amplification, and from what I understand, when you have longer arms, and I guess that's maybe why people in off-road put like longer lower control arms and stuff, less shock travel will translate to more wheel travel. But here it almost looks like we have an equal relationship, at least in droop, because 2.5 inches of shock travel is the same as 2.5 inches of wheel travel. We'll see if it's the same with compression too. All right, now let's see how much compression we have. Now I want to remind you, I mean, you can see right here, look, it's not gonna be a lot. This is where the bump stop is. So that's pretty much all that we have. And watch what happens, ready? Long before the wheel is even close to hitting the fender, we're effectively gonna hit our bump stop. So we're obviously compressing the bump stop a bit, but take a look here. We still have a solid 3 fingers before we can hit that upper fender up there. And that's what I wanna use the extra stroke for. We're gonna have an extra 50 mil of stroke, which translates to about 2 inches. So in essence, we could leave everything the same if we want to keep droop the same, still have 2 inches of compression before we hit anything. Maybe this fender will need to get trimmed a little bit, but at least upwards, we're looking like we've got plenty of room. So we've got a total of 5 inches of travel on the wheel. Let's see what we're at the shock. So 5 inches of travel in the front total, 2.5 inches of compression, 2.5 inches of droop. I also do want to preface, it may sound like I know what I'm talking about, but I've never set up an off-road car in my life. I just know that droop's important, and I feel like it's probably pretty good that we're somewhere in the middle. A lot of people, when they'll raise a car for like off-road and safari stuff, they'll essentially just max out the height of their car and have no droop. But droop is important to keep the tires planted on the ground as wheels lift up and the car moves around and stuff. It is really interesting to me though that we're seeing such similar changes from both the wheel and the shock, and I wonder, because essentially the premise is you change the motion ratio the further out you get, but also maybe because it's not on a lower control arm and it's not McPherson style, that's part of the reason why we're seeing less of a change. I don't know. If you know about off-road and you want to comment something intelligent, feel free. If it's not intelligent, feel free as well. But I'm just being honest with you guys. What's cool though is like, this is a good place to look. Obviously our axle angle's good here. Now ready? I'm gonna drop it down and we can watch what happens through the range of motion. Pretty neat, right?
Yeah.
Oh, that's our sway bar. Acting up. Yeah, that's pretty cool. First thing we'll do is measure droop. And on the wheel, we have about 1.5 inches. So less than we had in the front. On the shock, again, even in the rear, you know, maybe it's a little overkill for me doing this. I just expected to see much bigger difference. I know in the rear for sure, if the wheel was out farther, then we would have a bigger change in the motion ratio. But 1.5 inches of droop is the same, both on the wheel and the shock. 4. So about 2.5 inches of compression in the rear. So that's good. We had about the same amount in the front and the rear.
Yeah.
But interestingly enough, we were hitting bump stops in the rear. So do we have room to go up higher? Yeah, a lot. This is gonna be a problem, I think. My mud flap.
Probably.
But also, who cares, right? All right, here's the numbers that you should really care about. We had a total of 5 inches of travel in the front, split evenly between droop and compression. We had a total of 4 inches of travel in the rear, split kind of more favoring 2.5 inches of compression, 1.5 inches of droop. The rear, I know we need more travel because we're hitting things and it sounds aggressive. The front we haven't yet, but we're gonna add travel to both and then we're gonna take measurements and see where we land. I just realized something. We have an arm bindage thing going on in the rear. So I don't think my droop measurement was correct because it was sitting about here and then I pulled down. You see?
Yeah.
It might even go more than that. Oh, I almost need to like measure while I hang down. Oh God, is the front like that too? No. Front's maxed.
Yeah.
The rear though, I mean, that tells us that there's no point in adding any more droop than this one has.
Right.
This makes much more sense now. Instead of 1.5 inches of droop, we actually have technically 3 inches. We're just not able to use all of it, which means in the rear we have more travel in the front at 5.5 inches, which now makes me feel better because I knew that I had more stroke on the shocks in the rear, but something wasn't adding up. To fix that, we would probably just need to get different joints. I imagine something here, probably this ball joint right here actually.
Binding.
Yeah, something is just making it hesitant to change in motion.
Yeah, that one's pretty steep.
And it could be something too where we just crack all these loose and then retighten them and then they want to cooperate more.
Yeah.
Sheesh. So, this is the longest available skew from BC Racing, which is 185 mil of stroke, which equates to about 7.25 inches, which would take us up about 2 inches both in the front and the back. Not too shabby. So we're gonna swap over the parts, confirm our measurements, and we're gonna actually figure out where we want to set the shock body based on where we want the bump stop to hit. So I'm gonna time that so it hits right before it hits the chassis. That way I don't have any rubbing issues, and then we'll set the spring height to get the ride height from there. Kind of backwards compared to how a lot of people do it. It takes more time, but it's the right way to do it so you hit the bump stop instead of the chassis. All right, we're gonna take a look at the rear first. Right off the rip, we can see that we've got more stroke in the rear. Not a huge amount, but it's gonna be enough to make a difference. And because we have a shorter shock, what we're gonna be able to do is thread this in more, which is gonna allow us to have more compression in the rear before we hit the bump stop. What I'm essentially doing now is kind of a little bit backwards. I'm adjusting to get it to be as long as possible before it doesn't reach max droop on its own. And then that's probably how I'm gonna dictate where the bump stop up top is, rather than having the wheel go all the way up until where it's almost gonna touch the frame. That might be a little excessive. But before, as you remember, we had like this area where we were able to pull the wheel down. We don't really want that. We want it to be able to naturally fall
All the way.
all the way. So we'll see where we're at now as a starting point. We can still get our measurements. We just might play around with where that center point is. Higher it lets us go now. Might need to clearance the mud flap a little bit in back.
It's called self-clearancing.
I mean, at least it's not the bumper, it's just the mud flap. All right, so this is our new max compression point. We're not touching the chassis,
That's good.
so that's good. Now let's get our measurements.
Stancy boy.
So if we use the same starting point, if we keep the car at the same ride height, we'd have 5 inches of compression, which is double what we had before. So in the rear, we've got a total of 6 1/4 inch travel. So we went up about an inch of travel in the rear. But the important thing is we weren't actually using all of the droop before. If you remember, we lost out on like an 1.5 inches because of where it was settling. So now we'll actually be able to use a full range of motion. So it's really like we're going from like 3 or 4 inches up to 6. I want to have a little bit more droop than that though. So now what we can do is we can adjust the shock body. If we know that we want to keep our height the same as before, because I definitely don't want to lower it. So what I'll do is I will raise the shock more. Based on my target ride height, I'm gonna leave the bump stop right around this area. It could go up farther in the wheel, but then I would essentially have to run it at a lower ride height, where ground clearance is pretty important for what I'm using it for. So this is our total stroke in the rear. Then I think once I have the spring on there, that will help pull it down the extra tiny little bit that we get, but it's a decent amount.
Yeah.
For the front, I was a bit of a dum-dum. My measurements didn't take into account one really important thing. If we're looking to get the wheel to go higher up into the wheel well, the only way to do that is to change this length. No matter what, the bump stop is staying the same, so when the shock's all the way compressed, the length is gonna be from here to here. I didn't take account for the fact that I was already pretty much bottomed out on the shocks that I had, and I went even longer, so the biggest problem is, no matter what, we would actually have less compression if we kept ride height the same. I really don't want to go too much higher on the car because everything is really happy right now. So what I'm going to need to do is order another shock that is either the same length or slightly shorter. Ideally, we'd be probably like 10 or 20 mil shorter. So for now, what I'm going to do, sacrifice a little bit of droop. You can see this is what it was before, this is what it is now. We shortened the shock body all the way now, so we're gonna sacrifice a little bit of droop for a little bit more compression in the front, which should help quite a bit with jumping. There's only one way to find out. Now, I apologize if I've lost you at any point in this video. I've essentially lost myself probably 13 times today because I realized something and then I realized something else that completely contradicts what I realized. My latest discovery, you see how long I have to make the spring now? Before, when I was just gonna run this tiny little spring up here, we did the math, and this spring fully compressed is 3 inches. And if the spring is 3 inches long, we're gonna have the spring bind before we're even into the bump stop. And then I went and looked to the front, and I was like, I wonder if it's the same problem. The shock is right here, so if the spring bottoms out at 3 inches, we're like not even gonna be able to really get into that bump stop. So the front, I guess I would technically need to lower a little bit to avoid that. So I'll lower this perch back down. Oh boy, I'm doing my own head in.
Yeah.
All right, here's your new droop. If you want to look at it, we're about to lower it down on the ground. Ride height's staying about the same, but I took out a little bit of reverse rake. Come and look at our new numbers over here. The front, unfortunately, because of my bad math, we're left with the same amount of 5 inch travel, but we now have an extra 3/4 inch of compression and a little less droop. But the rear, we've gone from 2.5 inches of compression up to 4 1/4. Droop, we lost an inch. However, we fixed a lot of other stuff, so we're actually getting full travel with the suspension. We're no longer having spring binding. So everything should be a lot happier, and hopefully we'll be able to see that off the jump too.
Y'all did something.
That rebounded immediately.
Good job, guys.
Heck yeah.
That looked cool. So it looks way different.
Does it?
Like when it lands, it like takes that.
Yeah.
So you can actually see a difference.
Yeah.
I think so.
That's really nice to know that all day's work of changing springs around
I
made
didn't think you were
something.
doing anything, so I'm surprised. Good job.
It definitely, like I hear a rubbing noise now, but I don't think it's the tire hitting the fender. I think it was the mud flap rubbing
Yeah.
in the rear. I should probably
check.
trim those. But yeah, it definitely feels a little bit different. I'm gonna hit it a bit faster now, and then we'll double stack the rims, because why not?
Oh god.
Yo, he sent that thing.
That was sick. I with that a lot. He's gonna fly. Oh, I broke the ramp. Hey, can we use the other one on top of it? Would that fix it? Does it actually look different?
Yeah. No, it does.
It feels different.
The compression is way less now. It takes it.
What, when it lands?
Yeah.
Well, it should be more. It should take it better.
I think it has something to do with raising the spring so high in the back.
So when you raise it too much, that does actually amplify the spring ratio.
Yeah.
I do want to lower it back down a little bit.
Why can't you stop?
What?
Why can't you stop?
I can.
You're like going in the shed every time, dude. You can just settle down.
Let's throw the other ramp on it. Yeah, 2. Let's go.
You sure, bro?
Yeah, we'll be alright.
Oh, man. Sizing them up.
Bro.
I broke something.
Holy f.
Thank God I was wearing my helmet. That hurt.
Yeah, I wish we had a GoPro in the car.
Yeah, I hit the front bash bar, I think.
Yeah, you did.
Oh no, did I tweak the front end?
Just on the bottom.
No, the headlight popped out.
This headlight's broken here.
Yeah, no, that means I pushed up the rad support.
That was just dumb.
God. I didn't think double the height would be that big of a difference.
I said not to do it. I said it. That was dumb. We could just...
I'm just not stoked about moving my headlight. Did I hit the fan?
It looks a little close in there, but...
Oh my God, bro, no.
Oh, man.
I shattered the headlight.
Yeah, you did.
Oh no, big sad on that. That's crazy. The bumper, did the bumper move? It had to have bent the front crash bar. But do you think it bent the frame?
Yeah, I mean, that's bolted to the frame.
I heard some crazy noise in back.
It was exhausted.
God.
This thing was like perfect. It was like immaculate. I'm just saying.
In retrospect, I think the problem is the ramp was too sudden. This happened to me before in a Crown Vic actually. So the car didn't have time to settle. So as soon as the rear compressed, it acted like a nosedive ramp.
Yeah.
I was worried about the front bash bar hitting, but like that was bad. That's pretty high.
That's
some quality airtime.
Yeah. That's pretty nuts.
Yeah. Definitely not doing that again. Damage report. The front crash bar actually took brunt of it, and it seems like it did its job.
Yeah.
However, I don't think the frame is tweaked. I think where this ties into the factory bumper is tweaked.
Mm-hmm.
So either we'll need to bend that down, or worst case scenario, redo. It's probably gonna be just slide out. What?
Probably.
Look how much higher the bumper is.
No, yeah, that's because I think it's because this is pushing it up right now. So I think once we fix that, frame looks okay. I'm glad we didn't tie into the radiator support. That would have been bad news. Look, this may have seemed like it was a dumb idea, but you only know by trying.
Yep.
A landing would have been nice for this actually.
Yeah.
We had a third ramp. I was kind of impatient. Why do I have a weird bump on my chest?
We need to get out from under that headlight before a piece of glass falls in your eye hole.
I can't believe I broke my headlight.
I know.
Hella bummed about that. Look at how far I landed from the jump.
That's true.
That's crazy.
I didn't think about that.
I'm gonna count it. You ready? 1. My neck is starting to hurt a little bit. My back doesn't hurt. I learned. Oh, I stopped counting. I learned my lesson and I strapped in real tight for that one. 1, 2. 47 feet. I jumped 47 feet.
Nuts.
Look at it from here. That's crazy.
You can't even. Oh my God.
I'll go further. There I won't. Not in that though. Yo, go get the side by side. That'll feel like butter. That's flat. Yeah.
Dude, that's insane.
That looks crazy.
You can jump the pond.
You could.
Bro, you're not wrong.
You could have actually jumped the pond.
The problem is though, you land on an incline. I regret my decision, but I don't regret it enough to where I wouldn't have done it again. I now know the limitations. Pretty much irrelevant what I just did. We got the shock data from the lower jump.
Yep.
But I wanted to see if it was, I mean, to be fair, this isn't really a shock test. If the car went level.
This was just a test for the car. basically.
I'm pretty sure when people do big jumps with cars, they have like people that do math and like calculate to determine where the landing will be.
You were the calculation for this.
So
now we know where you're going to land.
And now a boat anchor.
Yeah, in the front. But now we know where we can put the fall down ramp.
Before we do our damage report, I've had an evening to reflect on my actions of jumping the GTR in a way that I probably shouldn't have. I want to be very clear about something. 2 major problems. 1, the ramp is too short. I know this from watching other videos of cars jumping, talking with Colette, talking with other people that jump cars. There needs to be enough space on the ramp for the car to hit, compress, and settle before it leaves the ramp. I essentially hit, and before the rear end was done compressing, it basically was back up in the air. Way to avoid that, maybe I could have gone slower, but I exaggerated the problem. If you're watching the footage, I'll play it again. Listen to the throttle. I lift before the rear wheels are off the jump, and that also unloads the rear and sends me on a nosedive. Regardless, I don't think that I should be jumping that high. Not really relevant to what I wanted to test on the shocks, but we now know the limitations of the car, so I can avoid doing that in other scenarios. Good news is, skid plate works great, bash bar works great, didn't damage any radiators, didn't damage intercooler, didn't damage oil pan. On a normal car, if you jump it like that, you're smashing a lot of stuff. So in one way, we passed the test. You think about it, 3,500 pounds with 60 miles an hour of momentum came all down to this bash bar that Bell made and didn't total the car.
Kudos to Bell.
Yeah, that's pretty legit. So we're gonna pull it off, see what we messed up. Hopefully we can bend these bars back downward. I've got some headlights that hopefully we can hodgepodge together to fix these. Unfortunately, they're expensive ones, but could have been a lot worse. Could have been a lot better also though. Damage report in the rear. That's it. Oh, I guess a little scrape in the muffler too. That's not too bad.
Nah.
You know, it's funny. It's good that I made it so the wheels can go all the way in. Like I basically adjusted it so the wheel could compress more. But if I had the old setup where I'd be hitting the bump stops way sooner, that wouldn't happen.
Yeah.
But that's okay. I'd rather that happen than have the car bounce and feel terrible. Yeah, look at this, dude.
Rock
This is
solid.
like not even a scrape.
Yeah.
Everything basically caught right here, which I suppose is a good thing. Mm-hmm. So let's see what we got to do to take this front bash bar off. We'll take this plate off, take these off. Looks like everything's good up there, so it's probably just that front bash bar that twisted.
No bent bolts, no broken heads or anything.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
That was glass from my headlight. Oh, that's so heavy. What a cool plate. I think it probably helped that they're slotted, so instead of bending the bolt, it can kind of move around a little bit. I'm really happy with how serviceable Bell made everything. Makes it really easy. This may have actually just got a lot easier. If you look, that bolt up there, that's where the bash bar mounts. You can see it just kind of, it's slotted and it slid up. So what we can do, literally loosen it, push it back down, we should be golden.
Yeah?
It's like it was designed to take impacts, reset itself.
Should just fall back down here.
Alright.
Alright, go ahead.
Ready?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
That was it.
Yep.
Holy.
That was a lot.
Look, bumpers back lined up.
Oh, the corner lights are good.
Oh, dude, we're man.
That was crazy.
That was.
Oh, it did.
I don't think y'all have seen the video.
No, I showed him the video this morning. He was like, dude, what the heck? I'm way less regretful of my decision now that I understand that I really didn't damage much. Headlights is an L for sure, but Adam, it was pretty cool. It wasn't calculated and it definitely was careless, but
That's why.
That's one of those in the moment hype things where you just want to go big or go home.
Clutch would have been here that day and she wasn't.
Yeah.
no, she would have yelled at me for not. You know what? I got home. She goes, "You let off the gas too early." Are you serious? Yeah, she's right. She's not wrong.
Any normal human would have took the intake off.
Me?
You're not a normal human.
Hell yeah.
That's not a good thing.
Yes, it is. It means I'm efficient.
It's the opposite of efficient.
Oh, hello there. Oh. So you can actually buy replacement lenses for these, so we're not gonna throw these away.
I knew that.
Yeah.
Adam said we're gonna give them away. Not happening.
Sean won't let me give things away. If you guys wonder why LZMFG sales are down, it's all because of booth consulting.
Oh man.
I needed the little receiver for the other one. Now I got it. All right, we're gonna wrap up the video here. Spoiler alert for the next video. The GTR is going to finally be getting an aftermarket LSD in the rear, plus some other new goodies. So we'll hopefully be able to all-wheel drive slide it how I've wanted to the entire time that I've had the car. This is your reminder, we just launched the leftover stock from both Ireland and Australia on the site, as well as all new stickers and packs, so go check it out. Every $5 you spend is gonna get you in for a chance to win the ultimate racing simulator from Podium 1 and $15,000 cash, and I'll see you guys soon.
When you said, when you said, when you said,
Bro,
nuts.
look at it from here.
you love me, that you love me.
That's crazy.
You can't even. Oh my god.
I'll go first.